Hello everybody, this is Terry Jeanette with the Tapping Flamingo. Today's video is all about making paper beads. Lately I've been posting a few videos making jewelry with some paper beads, and a couple of you expressed interest in maybe learning how to make them. I'm going to demonstrate, it won't be a full tutorial, but a demonstration on how to make paper beads. So the things you need in order to make paper beads: paper. I'm going to use scrapbooking paper only because it will be easier for you to see exactly what I'm doing. And I usually work on the back of the paper because we're going to draw lines and you don't want lines on the pretty side that you're going to be using. So once you figure out what paper you're going to use, make sure you turn it over and do your drawing on the opposite side of what you want to be seen. You can use like junk mail or any kind of scrap paper. This might be fun. I might try using this too. There are several things you can use to roll your beads. The basic one that everybody has is a toothpick. And I have taught up at the Senior Center how to make paper beads. And this is what we use. And you got to remember, a lot of these ladies that I have taught, they're into their 80s. And they do have hand issues. I have some hand issues too. And we can still use a toothpick. You just have to be a little patient and take your time. Something else you can use to roll your beads is this little contraption right here. I ordered this from Amazon several years ago. And it fits on top of either a water bottle or a Coke bottle of some sort. It's just this plastic thing here, and it has these two metal sticks, and you put your paper in between and you roll, and I'll show you how to use that in a little bit. One other thing that I have seen that is out there, I haven't seen it in person, but I've seen it on Etsy and Amazon, is it almost looks like a bead reamer. This isn't what it is, but it kind of looks like this. And it has a split like this does, where you put your paper and you roll your beads. So that might be something if you really want to get into this and do a lot of paper beads. Either that or one of these you might want to invest in. By the way, this several years ago was like $10. And one of those little stick things, they're not that expensive either. Something else you're going to need: ruler. You're going to need a pencil or a pen, pair of scissors, and a styrofoam block I like to use because once I get them rolled and glued, which you're going to need some glue, you're going to want to put them on here for them to dry. As far as the glue goes, I just use school glue. I have used stick glue before. Just any type of glue will work. And depending on what surface you're working on, you may want to cover that because paper bead making can get a little messy. Now, depending on the sides that you want your beads, you're going to make little tick marks across here. This bead here is about a 2-inch bead. This one is about a 1 1/4 inch bead. This also has several layers of paper. This is just one layer. Let's see, this bead here that's drying is a 1/2 inch. I have elected, just so you can see what I'm doing, to do 1-inch beads. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, there you go. I just took a ruler, laid it across here, and made tick marks 1 inch apart. I did that on one side and then the other side of the paper. Now this is a 12 by 12, but if you were going to be using like, let's see, an 8.5 by 11, or is it 8 by 11.5? Anyway, regular sheet of paper, you're going to want to make the tick marks on the shorter end of the page because you want the longness. I know that's not a word, but you want the length for your bead. Once you have your tick marks all done on this side and across, you are going to take your ruler and you're going to make lines. So you're going to go from the, let's see, let me do this other end so you can see what I'm doing. So basically what I did is I measured, I put my ruler on a little tick mark here, so this is the fat end, and then I angled my ruler like that. Okay, and then I just drew a line. And then the next time I angled it, let's see, let me go ahead and make that line so you can see what I'm talking about. Like so. Then the next time, this end's going to be fat, and this end's going to be skinny. We don't have a big enough area here for me to actually show you properly. But you're going to make another line like that. And you just keep going until you get your page all filled up, and then you're going to start cutting. Like so. Now this isn't going to be good because we have a hole there. Although I might be able to use that. But anyway, there is your triangle. Fat on one end, skinny on the other. Let me go cut some more out and we'll go to the next step. So I have all my long skinny triangles cut out, and the next thing I'm going to do is start rolling. But you will need to have some glue available, and you want to make sure, it's like, this is my nice dining room table. I don't want any glue on here. So I'm going to get some like newspaper or something and cover my work area, and then I'll start rolling and gluing. The first thing I'm going to show you is on a toothpick. One of the things you need to remember is, first off, you are not a machine. You are a human, and so no two beads will be alike. Also, when you start this, you don't want it to get too tight on here, because you will need to remove the bead from the toothpick, and if it's too tight, all of your rolling will just come unrolled. So you need to be careful about that. We are using this because this is too old and I just cannot get any glue out of it. So go ahead and get this ready to go. And when you first start this, it is a little difficult. But once you get it started, it goes a little easier. You want to make sure that as you roll down, it stays centered. Because you're going to want, see how it gets skinnier, you want this to wind up in the middle. So as you roll, you're going to have to guide it a little bit. And once you start rolling it, you can tighten it a little bit. And when I get to about this point, I just put some glue on there and keep rolling. And this glue is purple, but it will dry clear, so. And then you have your first bead complete. And then you just take it off of your toothpick very carefully, because you don't want it to unravel. This toothpick's got a little bit of glue on it. I should have really checked to make sure it didn't have any glue on it. There we go. And there is your bead. And I am going to stick this in the jar. Now, if you had used this type glue, it might wind up being still wet. And so this is when you just, once you take them off the toothpick, you can put them back on. Here's a better one, just so it will dry. And then I just stick it in one of these little styrofoam blocks for it to dry. The next thing I'm going to show you how to use is this contraption. Now, I think I showed you earlier how it has two little metal sticks that stick out, and you're going to slide your paper in between those. And it's basically the same idea as what I just showed you with the toothpick. When you roll it, you want to make sure it stays centered. Normally, I like to put this like in between my legs because I can hang on to it a lot tighter so it's not moving around. And I usually roll toward myself, but I'm going to try to roll so you can see exactly what I'm doing here. So it's just a rolling like this, and you can go pretty fast, but you need to continue to guide your paper. Like I said, I can't show you. I'm having a hard time. Ugh. All right, that didn't work out too well. And I really don't know how to angle the camera to be able to show you exactly what I'm doing. But like I said, I like to put this toward me so I can guide the paper, put it between my legs, and then just roll this and just keep guiding it. And then once you have about that much, just like rolling it with a toothpick, you take your glue and you get that all glued, and then you roll. I think I need a little bit more glue here. Make sure that ends in the middle, and you have your paper bead. And you just pull it off, and there you go. All right, let's see if this will work. I put it in between those two little sticks, and I'm just going to start rolling, and then I just guide it. Make sure it stays centered. And I tell you, I've done this on trips, just traveling down the road. It's really nice. And then you take your glue and continue to roll it until it is all complete. Pull it off, and there you go, your bead. Now, if you want to do thicker beads, all you need to do is stack them. And usually, I'll take 3 sheets of paper. Now, this is going to be a smaller bead than what we've been working on. But I just stack them up and then put them in your little bead winder. And once you got them all in there, you're just going to start winding them. And again, you're going to guide the paper because they will tend to fan out, so you got to continue to guide the paper toward the center. And here is the 3-layered bead. This is just 1 layer of paper. See the difference in the size? The next step is glazing them, and there are several ways you can glaze them. I like to use this diamond glaze. It is pretty pricey, so for those of you who are just trying this out, I wouldn't suggest buying this. I would just go and get some Mod Podge and use that. It's not as good as this. It's not as waterproof as this. In fact, I have a video. I'll put a link up here so you can go check that out. And you can see how durable this diamond glaze is versus the Mod Podge. So as far as glazing goes, I usually like to do 3 layers of glaze. The easiest way would be to grab you a toothpick and put your bead on it, pour your glaze in a cup, and paint it on there, like so. I'm not actually going to do these. I'm just going to explain to you how I've done it in the past. And then stick it in a styrofoam block or something like that to dry. Once the first coat's dry, you're going to do it again, let it dry, and then do it again. And then the last coat, I usually like to let it dry for 24 hours just to make sure it's cured. Doing it this way, you're not going to get the glaze inside the beads. When I look at this necklace, I did not make these beads. I made the necklace, but I did not make the beads. But when I look inside here, I can see that glaze did not get inside the beads, which means that this necklace is not as water resistant as maybe this necklace that I made and made the beads to. The way I'm getting ready to explain how I did this one, the glaze actually gets down inside the beads, and it does make it a lot more water resistant. But doing it this next way I'm fixing to explain can be a lot messier and a lot more involved. So what I do is I take a couple of these little tabs off of drink cans, and I'll tie an end to one and string up my beads, and then I tie the other end to the other one. And I fill my cup up with the glaze, and then I take my beads and I dunk them in there, make sure they get covered, and then I kind of shake them off, and this is where it can get really, really messy. Okay? And it's going to drip off a little bit. And once it stops dripping so much, that's not streaming, it's still going to drip a little bit. You can do one of two things. I would usually hang them. This was in my old house where I had a place to do that. My new house, I don't have a place to do that. It would be in my kitchen on my really nice countertops, and I don't want to do that. Now, if you elect to do that, make sure you put some type of covering on the surface, because when you do hang these, they're going to drip off. As you can see, we have glaze on this little pop top here. But I let them hang for a little bit, and then I'll switch them over, maybe 20 minutes after they've been hanging. And I keep doing that maybe every half hour or so until they're dry, just so they don't get glued to the string, and also so you don't have drip marks at the bottom. Now, a lot of times your bottom bead is not going to be a useful bead because it's got drip marks, but the rest of them look good. You've got the glaze inside. One other way I've seen people do this, I haven't tried it, and maybe I need to do this, is you can get like a box and you can cut little slits at the end of the box. For instance, if you had this box, this wouldn't be big enough, but you could cut little slits through here, and then you can hang your beads this way, kind of put this in the slits, and every once in a while I would take them out and kind of do that so they don't stick to the string here. Doing it this way, I do also 3 layers of the glaze. So once they dry for a little bit, then you're going to dip them, let them dry for a little bit, and you're going to dip them a third time. And then again, you're going to let it cure for 24 hours. So I hope you understood what I was trying to explain on how to make these paper beads. They're actually a lot of fun to do, but it is quite the process. If there's something you really didn't understand and you want more clarification, feel free to ask any questions you might have, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. If you want to try this, I would suggest that maybe you try making the bigger beads first, single layer of paper, maybe cutting either, this is a 2-inch bead, don't go smaller than a 1-inch bead, and wrap it up. And then when you do the glazing process, I would use Mod Podge, and then I would just paint it on there, with your toothpick, put it in the styrofoam block or some other thing like that where it can dry. And see how you like it before you really get invested in something. And if you love it, go for it. Make some more paper beads. Go crazy. I went crazy the first time I started all this. And sadly, I haven't made any for a while, but getting all this back out, I think I want to get back into it again because it's really amazing that you can take a piece of paper and make a beautiful piece of jewelry out of it. Anyway, if you try it, let me know how it goes. I hope y'all give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Mostly though, I hope y'all have a fantastically wonderful day. This is Terry Jeanette with the Tapping Flamingo signing out for now. Bye-bye.